Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. In today's topic, the NCAA billions of reparations settlement for college athletes, the ones that this applies to, being ordered. But Black American reparations, well, every day in this system of supremacy, which is the most brilliant mental manipulation force that's ever existed, it tells millions of Black Americans, directly, indirectly, and I'm not talking about coons and sellouts and gullible ones. Well, reparations a long time ago are injustices, what you call, or excuse me, injustices and racism and all that stuff's a long time ago, and we can't afford it and things like that. And y'all talking about reparations and oh my, you need to get over stuff. I mean, look, people have it hard out here and people going through stuff and all that old nonsense stuff out there, right? And the same darn time, in this situation, NCAA was ordered to pay billions of reparations as a settlement to athletes, right? Basically for having all these years of utilizing their likeness and using them as a commodity, right? I mean, it's the insult in this. It's brilliant, right? Because it's like, well, Black folks need to get over, whatever they're talking about. But in this situation, billions of a settlement for various types of college athletes on NCAA settlement. And for the people who may not know, that does not sit there and just pop out of nowhere. Where do you think they're going to get billions of settlement resources to give, right, to these various athletes that this applies to from years ago? And then moving forward to sit there and try to come up with some type of amount beneficial to present day moving forward numbers of certain type of athletes within the NCAA version, right? That ain't easy. And those prices, prices must go up in various types of colleges to cover various type things in this. But let me go ahead and share my screen and show you a little bit of this situation here, because many people, some number of the people who's talking about this haven't really talked about this part, and I really don't even watch sports as I used to for various type reasons and things like that. Nothing wrong with a good gamer, so every so often I may watch one, but I look at it now and a little bit different. So in this situation here, you see right here where it says United States District Court for the Northern District of California. Make sure I'm speaking here. All right. Opinion regarding order granting motion for final approval of settlement agreement. Plaintiffs are current and former Division I student athletes who played various Division I sports during the relevant period. Defendants are the National Collegiate Athletic Association, NCAA, and conference defendants, Pac-12 Conference, Big Ten Conference, Big 12 Conference, Southeastern Conference, and Atlantic Coast Conference. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing because there's quite a number of pages. So I'm just going to read this a little bit. Plaintiffs bring this antitrust class action to challenge various of the NCAA's rules that restrict or prohibit student athlete compensation. In particular, they seek to challenge the set of rules that restrict or prohibit compensation that Division I student athletes, keep this in mind, it said Division I student athletes can receive from third parties for the use of their name, image, or likeness, NIL, from schools or conferences for the use of their NIL, including broadcast, and from schools and conferences for their athletic services. They also challenge NCAA restraints, setting a maximum number of amount of scholarships that schools can provide to D1 student athletes in each sport. Plaintiffs contend that these rules violate the Sherman Act because plaintiffs would receive greater compensation in the absence of these collusive restraints. Defendants deny this charge and assert that the challenge rules are pre-competitive. Now, before the court is a motion for the final approval of a settlement agreement that will resolve all of plaintiffs' claims for monetary and injunctive relief. But Black Americans, yeah, well, get over the past. Whatever it is. And, think about how many Black athletes were, in however number still in various colleges are shown racial racism, terrorism toward them, the ones they know who they are. But again, something about, numbers of Black Americans, the one this applies to, how they look over various things in these colleges. And you got ones that have some skin to Black who know they are. The one this applies to that are not Black Americans. Again, the one this applies to that hot under the Black banner, right? And get the chance to benefit off of Black pain and getting these college scholarships and gets the chance to benefit off of this generational Black pain. How many colleges over generations, right, segregated Black Americans? How many colleges, right, where they would call in Harvard enforcement people to keep Black Americans from going to those colleges, right? But now you got some latecomer personnel who know they are, that had the skin of Black, the one it applies to, they get the benefit off this settlement. Oh my goodness. Sounds like another plan on this, how still Black Americans who are trying to get these reparations for trueness, corrective injustice for generations in the past and present, and how many slick little ones will be in certain parts of non-Black Americans, the ones it applies to, they be trying to get into underneath the radar and try to get some of this reparations too. You see how this goes, right? So if approved, now before the court, let me read this again. Now before the court is a motion for final approval of a settlement agreement that will resolve all plaintiffs' claims for monetary and injunctive relief. Cut the check for them. But Black Americans, so plaintiffs represent that there are 389,700 current members of the settlement class. 389,700 current members of the settlement class, and there is a 2.8 billion back damages. 389,700, 2.8 billion in back damages, and multi-millions and millions and millions of generations of Black pain for Black Americans within the U.S., past and present, who continuously go through racial racism, terrorism, however, social upheaval toward Black American people, numbers of however political people taking advantage and taking for granted the Black votes, however numbers of people they keep trying to sit there and skip around of giving earned Black American reparations and the legalness and things like that. What an insult. Nobody else has to sit there and continue to go through this. Nobody tells what we supposedly call the Native Americans, Native Indians, whatever that's supposed to mean, because there are $5 Indians as well, right? And it wasn't Native American people who was removed and went off went into some reservations. The silly freaking tactic is disgusting on that. But still, some people still don't see the game, what's going on around with that. But that's a whole different topic. It's an insult to even numbers of Black natives who are still around. Some people don't understand that. There are still Black natives around. And regardless, Black Americans continue to keep going through all kinds of stuff. And you got people he hauling around and saying, no, whatever on that, we'll get, well, maybe one day, right? But here, 2.576 billion in damages for members of the settlement classes who have been unable to receive compensation for the use of their NIL and for the athletic services. It will also result in groundbreaking changes in NCAA rules that govern student athlete compensation, which will enable NCAA schools to share their athletic revenues, with Division I college student athletes for the first time in history of the NCAA, and would eliminate NCAA limits on scholarships. This is expected to open the door for D1 student athletes to receive in the aggregate approximate $1.6 billion in new compensation and benefits per year, with that amount increasing over the next 10 years. I'm going to stop right there. But at the same time, when Black Americans keep talking about reparations and what should be earned reparations, which it needs to be earned reparations, which it would be earned reparations. You got Harvard companies, Harvard colleges, Harvard institute, Harvard political people. Well, I mean, how many people? I ain't got anything to do with the past. You see the game, right? So, in reading this other article in general, it talks about how schools are now free. This article talks about how the judge okays $2.8 billion settlement, paving the way for colleges to pay athletes. I've already kind of showed you that particular court document. So I'm just going to read this particular article. It's real in a few sentences of this. Schools are now free to begin paying their athletes directly, marking the dawn of a new era in college sports, brought about by a multi-billion-dollar legal settlement that was formally approved on Friday. Today is June the 9th, 2025. This particular judge approved the deal between the NCAA, its most powerful conferences, and lawyers representing all Division I athletes. It didn't say anything about other divisions. I'm just saying all Division I athletes. The House versus NCAA settlement ends 3 separate federal antitrust lawsuits, all of which claim the NCAA was illegally limiting the earning power of college athletes. Well, this particular judge said long-awaited. Excuse me. Hold on. This particular judge said this long-awaited decision comes with less than a month remaining before schools are planning to start cutting checks. Excuse me. Let me get this off of here. The long-awaited decision comes with less than a month remaining before schools are planning to start cutting checks to athletes on July the 1st, 2025. Cut those checks, right, for the numbers of athletes on that situation that this applies to, right? Both sides presented their arguments for approving the settlement at a hearing in early April. While college sports leaders have been making tentative plans for a major shift in how they do business, the tight turnaround time means schools and conferences will have to hustle to establish the infrastructure needed to enforce their rules. Now, who this say this applies to? The NCAA will pay nearly $2.8 billion in back damages over the next 10 years to athletes who competed in college at any time from 2016 through present day. The NCAA, repeating, will pay nearly $2.8 billion reparations and back damages, which is reparations, over the next 10 years to athletes who competed in college at any time from 2016 to present day. Moving forward, each school can pay its athletes up to a certain limit. The annual cap is expected to start at roughly $20.5 million per school in 2025 to 2026 and increase every year during the decade-long deal. These new payments are in addition to scholarships and other benefits the athlete already receives. But at the same time, when it concerns Black Americans, for multi-millions, tens of millions, some people might say 100 million plus, from the past and the present of Black American pain of consistent anti-Black terrorism, right? Again, I'm not talking about coons and salads and gullible ones. People can sit there and find ways to get these lawsuits helping out border breaker illegal immigrant personnel, can sit there and be trying to help out numbers of immigrating type personnel. But the minute you start talking about reparations for Black Americans for generations of descendancy of Black pain that's still going presently for Black pain, this is what they do. I mean, the insultingness of it. It's an insult left and right. This is a different whole top. No, I don't want to go on all that. Something different. So just keep that in mind. Let me play you something for a second. Because remember, Black Americans supposed to get over the past as if the past is a long time ago, right?
Walked out of the Democratic convention, formed their own party.
The Southern revolt against President Truman reaches its climax at Birmingham under the states' rights banner.
The so-called Dixiecrats nominated the South Carolina Governor Strom Thurmond as their presidential candidate.
There's not enough troops in the army to force the Southern people to break down segregation and admit the Negroes into our theaters, into our swimming pools, into our homes, and into our churches.
The so-called Dixiecrats nominated the South Carolina Governor Strom Thurmond as their presidential candidate.
There's not enough troops in the army to force the Southern people to break down segregation and admit the Negroes into our theaters, into our swimming pools, into our homes, and into our churches.
This was less than 100 years ago, by the way. This was less than 100 years ago. Colored waiting room, private property, no parking, right? Colored waiting room. They weren't talking about other various cultures. They were talking about Black Americans. This is why the nonsensical genericality, especially of certain numbers of Black Americans who kind of might be naive not to understand that you do not say people of color. You do not say communities of color, because that is a very generic situation, right? But I make this point in showing this is that they tell Black Americans to get over the past. This wasn't a long time ago. I ain't got anything to do with slavery. This was after slavery, fools. The one who tried to play that damn game. The previous thing I sit there and showed you was Senator Strom Thurmond, who became the governor of one of the Carolina states. That was less than 100 years ago when he was sitting there saying about the nig race, right? But people keep trying to tell Black folks to get over the past. But at the same time, you just had a major, big time NCAA reparation settlement for Harvard numbers of D1 athletes. It didn't even say anything about the various other divisions within NCAA. It didn't even talk about that. What I sit there and showed you earlier, he was talking about D1. Now, however it go after that, sit there and showed you the court document. Now, I wasn't going to read the whole court document, so that was like, how many pages? But what I'm sitting there saying is that regardless, it is an insult as well. It's a good thing in its own way that numbers of these college athletes or whatever the ones applies to in this get a chance to utilize some beneficial monetariness and not just be used as a commodity, right? Do their thing on that. But at the same time, since it benefits various other people, various athletes, be it various ones within certain parts of plant-based culture, be it however numbers of certain ones of the immigratingness that are playing sports in these colleges, right? They're not citizens, right? You know, they may be international type students or maybe some other people, whatever type of some kind of college visa program or whatever they might be. But they get a chance to benefit off that. I want you to understand that you get a chance to benefit off these this reparations that is given to numbers of athletes moving forward even more now. So it's a good thing that these athletes of before, however, people are getting reparations from the NCAA, but at the same time, it's an insult because see, the NCAA, the reparations is for many type of various people. So it's not benefiting only Black Americans. It's benefiting some Black folks, be some Black Americans, benefiting the ones that are Black but not Black Americans. It's benefiting the ones that are under some Hispanicism, some ones that are some maybe some Asian athletes, not that many, it's not be many of them. But the point is, benefit ones within various parts of predominant-based culture. Dang sure it's going to benefit quite a number of them, right? Past athletes within the suit that this will apply to for reparations of back pay reparations and however other people. But Black Americans, right? That's one uniqueness. So it's not benefiting specifically Black Americans. So you see how that game goes, right? See, as long as it's not benefiting specifically Black American, then it's like, yeah, we should be able to do some reparations. And you got people, again, that do this. They see nothing. They hear nothing. And they act like they know nothing when this rally is being relayed over. I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.